So I'll go over the positives of this movie first.
Okay.
So I did think it was cool. I think that it was a fun time. I didn't have like a super fun time, but there was some times where I was really enjoying the numbers, the musical numbers. I did like the musical numbers more than I liked the other stuff.
Like the movie.
Yeah, like how we got like from musical number to musical number.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, but I'll go into it.
Okay.
So I like the musical numbers. I thought the choreography was actually really cool.
Mm-hmm.
I thought a lot of what they did was creative. I thought they took a lot of risks.
Big groups.
Some paid off.
Big groups.
Some did not, but I do think that even taking the risk at all is commemorable. What I really like about the movie is what I take away from the movie being. What the reason the movie exists. And I was almost not on board for this movie until this scene almost at the very end of the movie.
Okay.
And because a lot goes on in this movie, and I'll get into it when I talk about the cons, but one of the big pros of this movie is when Alejandro, he's the lawyer that Usnavi goes to, and he has Sonny, his cousin that works with him, right, sitting next to him, and he's talking about how because Sonny's an immigrant, he doesn't have papers, right? He
like speed it along.
Yeah, he's there like, hey, here's 96,000 that I got. Can you please make it happen? And Alejandro looks at them and says like, this is gonna be very difficult.
Yeah, he's like, it's no guarantee.
Yeah, and Usnavi tells him like, hey, I know. And Alejandro looks at Sonny and says, yeah, but I want him to know that he has everything working against him.
Yeah.
And then Sonny thinks for a second and he says, understood, but I still want to fight.
Okay.
And that, to me, is why this movie exists. Is to explain that the world is not set up, and it does build on that because it talks about
they do it throughout the entire movie.
Yeah, they talk about it throughout the entire movie. What's her name that goes to college? Nina. Is it Nina?
Nina, yeah.
Nina
comes back,
and she's talking about how yes, she does have
she had a whole
she has hurdles that she has to go through because she's mistaken for the help, right? She's accused of stealing, and she's putting it on the fact that she is this Hispanic girl in a different culture. She's kind of dropped into this different lifestyle, and I like her. I like her story.
Yeah,
I think that one's easy to understand. She was taken out of a neighborhood that she was comfortable, a life she was comfortable in, put into a life that made her feel like she didn't belong, and I think that was easy to relate to. But the conversation that Alejandro has with Usnavi and Sonny, I was like, that's
why all this exists.
That's where this book got. That's what happened.
Yeah.
I don't know the story of where it all began, but that is what made it worth it for me. Was I watched this whole movie and then they
because it was not quite the end, but it was right before.
Right, it's right before the end, right before Usnavi decides.
Number.
Yeah, because Usnavi decides to stay.
Yeah.
Right after Vanessa does the whole thing with him, but before that, they're in that office, and I'm like, okay, that I get.
Like I'm good now
because I wasn't on board with this movie all the way through. I'll be perfectly honest. I was not on board with why I was there at all.
Yeah.
You know,
what's the purpose?
What was the purpose of the movie? I didn't understand. It was a bunch of people that were living in a neighborhood that were all just kind of like, yeah, my life is hard, but we weren't getting that big arc necessarily, right?
Well, like the heart.
Yeah, we weren't getting this is why we're keeping the audiences in their seats. And to be honest with you, a lot of the heartfelt stuff, like the movie doesn't earn a lot of the heartfelt stuff.
Yeah, that was tougher to kind of be okay with.
Yeah, because there's people crying on screen and I'm not crying,
Yeah.
right? And so I'm already like,
Do you think it was because it was a musical that it's harder to be like? Do you think because they're like, but in the sun, like, and then they start singing, so like they have this struggle and then they like sing it out. And you're like, oh well, now I don't feel as bad for you. Like, if it was not a musical and they were telling this story with these people trying to make it out.
I don't think so.
Would you have been like, damn?
I don't think so, because Hamilton doesn't have the production of this movie.
No, I mean Hamilton was a stage production.
Yeah, and it wasn't even what they were planning on doing. Hamilton, they were supposed to go back and refilm the stage production, but they used older footage.
Yeah, from 2015.
Something like that. Yeah, maybe
a while ago.
Maybe like 5,
It was a while
maybe
ago.
like 4. Yeah, and it was put together, and I still got emotional watching Hamilton.
And Hamilton was.
And so I really do think it was the way that they were telling the story.
So
I don't think it was told.
Okay.
And
so you would have liked it better if it was a stage production instead of a movie?
yeah, I think I would have. And so yeah, that's a good point, because I don't think the story is bad.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just not supposed to be a movie. Then that's
I mean,
okay.
It's not supposed to be.
Yeah,
a movie.
it's not supposed.
Play.
It doesn't translate
Yeah.
well
And
from
that's
stage to film.
totally okay.
Because it's in a film, it's too busy.
Well, you're trying to. That's kind of where I got confused. I'm trying to watch the movie,
Yeah.
but it's not a movie.
Right.
So I'm confused on where I'm supposed to look and what I'm supposed to see the movie as.
Right.
Which again doesn't make the movie bad. When I was watching Hamilton, I knew I was watching a play. I wasn't watching a movie.
Yeah.
If
So
that
you
makes
already
sense.
right, and
Yeah,
so
like,
you
it's a great play.
you knew your position as
Correct.
the audience. Right.
Correct.
And this one's harder to decipher, kind of what we're supposed to be.
Yeah.
As
at
a
least
viewer,
At
viewer.
least for me, yeah.
You're right. And I mean, I think that's a fair point. They I think translated it maybe too literally, and they didn't perhaps back off where they should have, for the sake of being a movie.
Yeah.
Because there's just some stuff where it's just too much. It's just there's too, for a film purpose, there's too many storylines going on that I'm not invested in any one storyline in particular.
It goes by so quick.
So quick. I mean, if I took out everybody's story, I mean, it might have been 15 minutes per person, right? And then you have a movie, but the sum of the parts are greater than the whole. You put it all together, and it's not working.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say it's a bad movie.
Oh, but it's not as good as I think the world's making it out to be. But I don't think the world is seeing it. I don't think they're looking for it, anything.
Yeah.
I think they went in, they like heard some songs.
They're like, oh, it's just gonna be a fun time.
That was fun. Like we had a good time, and I don't think they were looking for things in a deeper way.
Right.
Because I saw some of the reviews, I'm like, nah, though.
Oh
like,
yeah.
No, it's not.
I haven't seen that one review on this movie.
Like.
The only
Good.
thing,
It's good. Like, I'm glad you had fun. Sounds like you and your family had a ton of fun, and that's awesome. It is not a 9.5 out of 10. Like,
I was just gonna say the only thing I did was I went to Rotten Tomatoes and saw
I think it's pretty high there too.
It's like 95%.
Oh yeah, that's
on
wild.
both sides.
Yeah, nah.
Yeah, and I'm like, all right. I mean,
not.
I understand.
I didn't even think to look there, which is the spot I usually go to.
Yeah, and
for a base.
The thing is, I understand how Rotten Tomatoes works, right? So if everybody gives it a 60%, then it gets 100% Rotten Tomatoes, right? So it is like, I understand how it can get skewed, because so I personally would rate In the Heights at 6.5
out of 10.
Out of 10.
Okay, I'm in the same area.
So, and the reason why is because it's too long for a movie.
No, that's been my struggle recently.
And there were multiple times in this movie where I was bored, because I was just waiting to get to the next number.
Okay.
I didn't need, and then there was even a number or two where I was like, yeah, I don't care. I don't care about that storyline, so I don't really care about the number.
One? She died.
Uh,
I wasn't expecting her to have one.
so
but that whole thing,
yes,
I didn't need.
So when Abuela died, I didn't care.
It was kind of hard to.
So, and that's a mean thing to say, probably about.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about anyone's abuela in particular.
Yeah, but
saying,
this situation in
yeah,
this movie,
abuela in the
this movie play
did not. They just didn't.
Well, she didn't remind me of my abuela.
No, but
She
they
didn't.
just like told us why she's important.
Yeah.
They were just like, she's important because of these reasons,
Mhm.
and then she dies, but we don't see like enough of that happening.
Yeah.
Right? We don't see her being those things.
We're
Except
just told she's.
yeah, but like the thing with the lottery ticket at the end where she leaves it to Usnavi and she
I thought that was cool.
yeah.
Yeah.
That was a really cool moment of showing us how like her character, but she had already died.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, cool, you made me feel something after the fact, but
Yeah.
like
An hour
do
later.
something like that and before, and then maybe I care
Yeah.
more. But when she died, and her musical number is just not. I mean,
Yeah, I thought the only part that was kind of
Come
cool is they were in
on.
the tunnel and they were kind of like shifting.
yeah,
I was
and
like, oh, that's cool.
There were cool effects.
But
Yeah,
that was the part of the movie when I kind of started scrolling
Yeah.
through my phone.
like
Smidget.
all right. Her number,
A
you're
little
just like,
smidget,
eh.
yeah.
I didn't really care about the pool number either, though. 96,000. I don't
Okay.
really care about that number all that much.
Interesting.
Everyone checks their lottery ticket. It's a cool, but the thing is, like, you watch it and you're like, I
Interesting.
appreciate how well it's choreographed.
Yeah.
That was really well done. I can appreciate that, but I don't. But its place in the movie doesn't do anything for me.